Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and we have a pretty excellent opening pack with two cards really vying for the pick one, pack one status. We have Behold the Unspeakable, an excellent uncommon, one of the best uncommons in the whole set. It's -2/-0 to all your opponent's creatures until your next turn, scry 2, draw 2, and spit out a flying trample creature. Then there's also Thundering Raiju at rare, which is a really nice aggressive red haste card. That's pretty comparable in power level. This can close out a game pretty quickly. It is going to be putting counters on your other stuff. However, Behold the Unspeakable is just such a big value swing, and blue's a bit of a better color than red in the format, at least in my opinion. To where I think I'm going to take Behold the Unspeakable there. I think both cards are really equivalent in power level. They're both very good, and miles ahead of everything else in the pack. But I think I just like Behold the Unspeakable a bit better. I've just had really good experiences with the card. It's super hard not to come back in any game where you drop a Behold the Unspeakable. So now we have some other pretty excellent blue pickups, and that'll probably be the choice here. The best non-blue cards being maybe just Kami's Flare mainly. But in blue we have Sky Swimmer Koi, which is nice if you have a high artifact count. Network Disruptor, which is super nice to help trigger ninjutsu cards, tap something down to get things out of the way. It's also just evasive on its own. Really like Network Disruptor. Sky Swimmer Koi is quite solid too. Replication Specialist is fun. 5 mana 3/4 flyer at worst is not a bad deal at all. And if you do get to drop an artifact down later once you've already got this down, it will be quite good. A little less consistent though than just like a Network Disruptor that's good at every point in the game and incredibly good in the early game. I think I'm just going to slam a Network Disruptor here, to be honest. We're in pick 3 now. A Searchlight Companion would be a nice pick for being completely open. This card fits into almost any deck perfectly, and just provides a solid amount of value either way, a 1/1 flyer and a 1/1 on the ground. Mobilizer Mech can be fun if you have a lot of vehicles, and Arm Guard Familiar is fine. It is pretty solid on a flyer if you reconfigure it onto a Network Disruptor or something. So we could just take an Arm Guard Familiar to stick in blue. Nothing off-color is incredibly powerful here. Scrap Welder can be fun, but it's a little bit hard to get work since you need specific mana values. You need the correct mana values to get it to work well. None of these white cards are super good. There's a fine removal spell, a fine aggressive creature, fine tapper. And in red, the best card is Heiko Yamazaki, which is also just kind of fine. She's a bit slower than you'd want her to be. She is quite good if you can get her to keep resolving that attack trigger. I think I'm just going to take Arm Guard Familiar here. Just stick to blue for now before we push into any other color. Some decent off-color cards again. Experimental Synthesizer is quite a good draw spell in red. They don't tend to get a lot of card draw. And Goshintai of Hidden Cruelty can be good in the right matchup. Worst case scenario, it is a 4 mana 2/2 Death Toucher. That's not a great deal, but at least it can trade off into most anything on the ground. I think I just want to take another Network Disruptor though. I don't think Goshintai is good enough to hop off color, and I certainly don't think Experimental Synthesizer is, although that is a solid card. Pick 5 now. Suit Up is a solid combat trick in blue. Make something a 4/5 till end of turn and draw a card. Definitely a solid combat trick when you have a lot of really small creatures, like 1 power, 2 power creatures like we do here. We have 2 1/1 Network Disruptors. We have 1 2/1 Arm Guard Familiar. Those both get buffed a lot by Suit Up, and this draws a card when you cast it. I'd be pretty happy to take it here. Seismic Wave can be really good in the right matchup. It can be a 2-for-1 or even a 3-for-1 if you're lucky. But there are also some matchups where it's very bad. And Rabbit's Battery is super good in like Gruul and any decks where you have a really big creature to reconfigure onto. But even in red-blue, I think Rabbit Battery would be pretty good. But I have been passing a really big red signal this whole time, so I don't think I want to start hopping onto red at this point in the draft. As open as it may seem to be here, it's not going to be open from our left, because if this player here didn't take Thundering Raiju, then this one probably did, and they just never stopped getting fueled with red cards. So now, no idea what I want to do here. Short Circuit is just not good removal. None of these white cards are particularly good. Honestly, the black cards are probably the best. Like, Coiling Stalker's fine, Unstoppable Ogre's fine, but Kami of Terrible Secrets is pretty good if you can have an artifact and an enchantment down. Undercity Scrounger can be pretty good too, but that's only really in Rakdos where you can utilize those treasure tokens super well. So I think I just take Kami of Terrible Secrets here. We see a pick 7 experimental synthesizer still. I think I have to just bite the bullet here and accept the fact that there's no way I can hop into red here. I will just get no red pack 2. Maybe I'll get a lot of red in pack 3, that is what it's kind of looking like here. But certainly not in pack 2. After passing Thundering Raiju into Kaiju's Flare. So it's just Cyber Trespassers or Nezumi Blade Blesser here mainly. Pretty filler cards. I'll just take the Blade Blesser, I guess, because it looks all nice and fancy. Now we have a dual land if we want to be open to some splashes, an Arm Guard Familiar, or Network Terminal also leaves us open to splashes, and Inkrise Infiltrator is a pretty solid flyer. Solid stats for its cost. I think I'm happy to just take another Arm Guard Familiar here, honestly, because I still am not 100% committed to black, and blue is wide open. We see a pick 9 Network Disruptor. Green's not looking bad either. Tamiyo's Safekeeping is still in here. Nice little protection spell, combat trick, that kind of stuff. Those are the 2 best cards in the pack, Network Disruptor, Tamiyo's Safekeeping. Still a Sky Swimmer Koi in here, pick 10. And Kami's... Whoa! Okay. I don't know. Somebody took the Thundering Raiju and not the Kami's Flare then. Well, they'll get it now. They're going to get rewarded here. We're just going to be in the draft pod with the most open red in the world. And I'm not even going to jump in on it. I'm going to be part of the problem. So now, Hotshot Mechanic, if we want to go blue-white vehicles, could be fun. Or Imperial Subduer. Yeah, Safekeeping, Subduer, and Mechanic are all fine. None of them are, like, great. I'll just take Hotshot Mechanic, because it's also the rarest card, so it'll fill up the vault with the most progress. These cards are all pretty bad. Just keep sending the massive red signal here. Alright, pack 2. What do we got? This pack is straight garbage. There's like decent white cards in here, I guess. If we didn't already have 3 Network Disruptors, another would be kind of interesting. But yeah, there's just not a lot going on in here. Blade Blizzard Kitsune and Intercessor's Dress, probably the best cards. Leech Gauntlet's fine. I guess we just take Leech Gauntlet here. Really liked this card early in the format, and I've gotten kind of lower and lower on my opinions on it. It's still good. It's still a 2-mana 2/2 lifelinker, but I've almost never gotten to like reconfigure this for any value. But yeah, we'll take a Leech Gauntlet. I did try to play a deck with like 5 Network Disruptors once, and that was a bit much, so we'll stay calm at 3 Network Disruptors in this deck for now. Jin Gitaxias here. It's a lot of mana, but it does lock down the game if it resolves. A lot of mana for just a 5/5 with no evasion or anything. But yeah, then you counter your opponent's first artifact, instant, or sorcery they cast for the rest of the game, and you double your own. Seems like a pretty balmy card. Again, a lot of mana. Don't know how often we're going to get to resolve it and play around with it, but we can try. Worst case scenario, it's a fun thing to do here. What do we have now? Not much. Patchwork Automaton actually looks pretty solid for our deck. We already have a good artifact count. 6 artifacts already. If we take Patchwork Automaton, we can start taking more artifacts pretty highly. This card is just nuts. If you can get a few counters on it, and you can do that pretty quickly. Like Patchwork Automaton here. Good synergy with Jin Gitaxias as well, because Jin Gitaxias wants us to have a bunch of artifacts, instants, and sorceries. Undercity Scrounger actually looks kind of solid for this deck. It'll be an artifact creature for artifact synergies with Patchwork Automaton, and it'll give us treasure tokens to help ramp into Gitaxias or Behold the Unspeakable if creatures are dying. So that actually does seem like a good deal here. Probably want Dockside Chef here, even though there are pretty solid artifact creatures like Covert Technician and Moonfolk Puzzlemaker that are great blockers. Dockside Chef's just such a good ability, and it synergizes very well with the Undercity Scrounger. We get those treasure tokens on the board, and we start sacrificing those to draw cards and losing pretty much nothing to draw cards, so pretty close pick here. I think Technician and Puzzlemaker would both be solid inclusions to the deck as well, but I'm going to go with the Dockside Chef here. Now that we have a Dockside Chef to synergize with Scrounger, plus it has the ramping for Gitaxias, I'm pretty happy to take a second one. Although first Puzzlemaker might be a little more interesting, because I do love the flying on this card, constantly scrying us to help hit our bomb. Don't think I want Futurist Operative though, I think I like these artifact creatures a bit better. There's more synergy with them. Yeah, maybe I take the first copy of Puzzlemaker over the second copy of Scrounger. We can probably pick up another Scrounger later. Pretty easy Mukotai Ambusher here. One of the better cards you can ninjutsu out for cheap. This is going to be great with triple Network Disruptor. Plus it's another artifact, which is nice. Another Blade Blesser it is here. The Artificer doesn't tap for the mana we need it to tap for, which is mana for Gitaxias. So that seems pretty not worth it. We do have Patchwork Automaton. At least one 2-mana ninjutsu card now, so we could go for the quadruple disruptor. We could also just take our first Saiba Trespassers, get some kind of big creature later in the curve, and also a potential early game combat tricky kind of thing. I'm going to take the Saiba Trespassers here. Again, I don't want to front load my deck with just 6 1-mana cards again. That did not pan out well last time I tried. We only have 2 enchantments in here, so unlikely that Kami of Terrible Secrets is going to do a ton, so let's take another decent flyer to slap our Armguard Familiars onto. And for the same reason, not super high on Kami of Terrible Secrets here, and Shameful Centipede would be pretty nice with our flyers again. Getting some extra power there. Start cutting these Blade Blessers for those once we hit 23 cards. This is all nonsense here. Some more nonsense. And we're going to move on to pack 3, pick 1 now. March of Swirling Mists. This is not bad. There's a lot of things this card can do. Phase out all of the cards. They don't exist until the start of the controller's next turn. So you can save your own card from a removal spell. You can shut off all of your opponent's blockers. You can shut off all of their attacks and blockers, because this is instant speed. Yeah, there's a lot of fancy things you can do with March of Swirling Mist. Probably worth it. Although there's also Twisted Embrace, and we don't have any hard removal yet, I think. Unfortunately, as cool as March of Swirling Mist is, we probably have to just take the straight removal, because we don't have any yet. So I think I have to take Twisted Embrace over that, but I don't think that would be a terrible pick. Now we can just take another straight removal spell, Tamio's Completion here. Would like to wheel one of these 2 ninjutsu cards, Ambusher or Prosperous Thief, that'd be great. But just really want to make sure I have a couple removal spells. Now we can take Lethal Exploit for a cheap removal spell, or Mirror Shell Crab for a potential finisher Giant Crab, or counterspell earlier in the game. It's more of a flexible card than Lethal Exploit is, but Lethal Exploit's a little bit better for its cost. I think I prefer the crab. I want to live in Magical Christmas Land where we cast Gitaxias and then the next turn we cast a Mirror Shell Crab. That'd be really cool. Alright, I'm pretty happy to take the Modern Age here. This is really good card filtering. Draw a card, discard a card. Twice in a row. And then you have a 2/3 flyer out of it, so this helps dig deeper, dig towards bombier cards like Behold the Unspeakable and Gitaxias. I'm going to cut both the Blade Blessers now. Another copy of the Modern Age, don't mind if I do. Pretty happy to scoop that up. Not much competition in that pack either. Things are really starting to look up now. There's another Patchwork Automaton. with 13 artifacts. That'll be our 14th artifact. Although we could take another Tamiyo's Completion. That would be our third hard removal spell. We'd have Twisted Embrace and Double Completion if we take that. Actually a pretty hard pick between Tamiyo's Completion and another Patchwork Automaton. I think I want to go with the Automaton here. But I don't know. I'll take Tamiyo's Completion. I mean, we have big bomby cards. Not even just Gitaxias, but Mirror Shell Crab and Behold the Unspeakable are also kind of big sort of game enders. So if we make it to those high mana costs, so just get a little more defense to do so. These cards are unplayable. Reckoner's Bargain or Short Circuit. Not super happy to take either of those. We are upping our enchantment count for our Kami of Terrible Secrets here too. I think I'm just rare drafting this pack. Just trying to look at the deck and see what we want to cut here. Definitely would like a Shrine Steward in this deck. This will consistently pick up a removal spell when we cast it. 5 mana for a 3/2, draw Tamiyo's Completion or Twisted Embrace out of our deck. Really good deal. There's again another Network Disruptor, but there's a million of those. Oh, we do wield the March of Swirling Mist, so we get to play around with that card still. Very nice. I'm just taking the highest rarity card. That happens to be a great red removal spell again. Red is so wide open here. Moonsnare Prototype's interesting because it can theoretically help us ramp up. Do have a lot of artifacts. We could try a Prototype here. Not a super big fan of it, but it's a thing we can try. Take a Suit Up or Chainflail Centipede. 19 creatures here. Are we going to run double Suit Up? I don't know. Maybe. Take the Suit Up. We have so many creatures. We're going to need to cut some for sure. Alright. We could also just try to be the super aggressive Suit Up deck where we're just suiting up Network Disruptors to hit for extra damage because we draw a card every time we use it, so it's no biggie if all we're doing is pushing in for extra damage. So, we have 19 creatures and 2 sagas, 3 sagas, 2 Modern Age Behold the Unspeakable, so I think all we're cutting here are creatures. Just cut 5 creatures. Call it a day. The Armguard Familiars are a bit slow, but I do think they're quite good with Vector Gliders and Network Disruptors. So much going for them. Leech Gauntlet as well. Patchwork Automaton, did we get there? We have 14 artifacts, but we might just be cutting artifacts here. 14 artifacts, 7 enchantments. It feels like Kami of Terrible Secrets made it as well, but we have to cut something. Maybe even Cyber Trespassers. This Gitaxias might have been like a curse in disguise. Because imagine if we didn't pick up this Gitaxias, it would have made a lot of the other decisions more easy to where we could just lend the deck more to a 15 or 16 land deck with 2 Patchwork Automatons instead of having taken like the removal so highly to help try to survive till we're casting a Gitaxias. We probably would have taken the cheaper card over the Mirror Shell Crab as well. Just the cheap removal spell to help get things out of the way. Yeah, we might have went wrong in the draft a bit here. Might have gotten too greedy with the high mana cost cards like Gitaxias, but it'll be fun to play around with. But I think it would have been fun also to just see the more aggressive build of this deck. -1 Gitaxias, -1 Mirror Shell Crab, -1 Tamiyo's Completion, +1 Patchwork Automaton, +1 Lethal Exploits, and then plus some random little 2-3 mana creatures to stay aggressive. That would be a pretty spicy deck. I think the deck still is spicy. But now I gotta figure out how to build it. It might even be cutting an Automaton, as weird as that is. Probably cutting Inkrise Infiltrator, because we still have the Modern Ages. We really don't have much ninjutsu, so we might even cut a Network Disruptor here. We have to cut 5 cards. Maybe cut one of the Suit Ups. Maybe cut the March of Swirling Mist. Might be a little situational. I don't know. I feel like counter a removal spell, counter a Wrath. Fog, stop your opponent's attack and make it so they can't block with those creatures till their next turn. So like you can manipulate your own creatures or your opponent's creatures with this. I'm interested. I want to try this at the very least. I really do. So if we cut 5 cards, we could go... I honestly don't know. Maybe we just cut non-artifact cards and keep Automaton in. So that would be definitely don't cut disruptors then, because we're trying to keep the artifact count high. Cut 5 cards would be cut Inkrise Infiltrator, Kami of Terrible Secrets. Maybe 1 suit up. But then we still need to cut 2 more cards. But we have so many artifacts here, so Sky Swimmer Koi looks awesome. We just don't want to cut artifacts for the Automaton. The Automaton is just putting such a hindrance on my deck building decisions. I kind of want to just cut like 1 Arm Guard Familiar or 1 Disruptor here. Maybe 1 of each. But then our artifact count's lowered. It's probably still enough for Automaton. But I feel like if I end up cutting these 2, right, then we go down to 12 artifacts. At 12 artifacts, like it's a little bit more than 1 out of 4 cards. How good is even the Automaton if it's just 1 out of 4 cards triggering it? So by the time we cast it, it'll be turn 2, which means even on the play, we'll have drawn 8 cards total, because a 7-card opener plus draw a card. So we should have 1 other artifact to accompany it at least, so it will be attacking as a 2/2 first time it attacks on average. But then after that, we need to wait till we've drawn our 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th card on average. So another couple turns. It might be a bit slow. I don't know. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it to put... Put what back in? A little less focused on artifacts now, so we could put an Inkrise Infiltrator back in. Still do like the Arm Guard Familiar, though. Double Modern Age, double Disruptor. Moonfolk Puzzle Maker I like it with as well. I think I still put Arm Guard Familiar back in. We still have a high artifact count to work with Sky Swimmer Koi, which is nice. And that can help us dig towards Gitaxias. And obviously a high artifact count to work with Gitaxias as well. This is a weird deck. This is a weird deck. It's like there were a lot of good cards in blue and black being passed around, but at the same time we didn't get the normal blue-black kind of cards you see. So I feel like, I don't think blue and black were open. I think that people were just hyper-focused on their synergistic strategies in blue-black. Because, you know, we didn't see any of the 1-mana Saga, the Okiba Reckoner raids and stuff, so I'm assuming there were like maybe 1 or 2 other players in blue-black ninjutsu. But they were in blue-black ninjutsu specifically, and they were hyper-focused on that, hyper-fixated on that, which means that we managed to get, you know, some other stuff, like Sky Swimmer's Koi was pretty late, I believe. Arm Guard Familiars were flying around. Yeah, we just take the cards that those ninjutsu decks just don't care too much about. Dockside Chef as well. I guess a lot of our like best cards were cards we took really early in our packs. Outside of the Network Disruptors, like just nobody cares about Network Disruptor in this draft pod. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of a weird draft. Another weird looking deck, just like the deck that I drafted I was going to say yesterday, but this video is actually not going up when I think it is because there's a midweek Magic event I'll be doing. The day before yesterday, the last draft, the Rakdos draft I did, where it was like, yeah, we're in Rakdos, we're kind of Rakdos artifacts aggro, but at the same time, we're not doing Oni Cult Anvil things. Again, we're just like kind of in blue-black, but not really doing ninjutsu things. Super weird, and it probably would have been even weirder if we hadn't picked up Jin Gitaxias. Because like it makes sense here, like, oh yeah, build around Jin Gitaxias. You know, so we're kind of slower now with this Shrine Steward picking up removal and stuff like that. So that's why the deck looks kind of funky, kind of weird for a blue-black deck. But if we didn't have a Gitaxias in here, and we just had our double Patchwork Automaton, triple Network Disruptor to have the artifact count super high, that would have looked really weird. We'd be like, what kind of blue-black deck is this? Are you trying to be a blue-red deck in blue-black? Alright, well. This is gonna be the deck. We're going for blue-black Gitaxias. Let's stop rambling. Let's get into the gameplay. See what on earth this pile's gonna do. Here we are in round 1, and we're actually against one of the Magic Arena developers, I believe is what the mythic orange name is about, so that's pretty cool. They're on the play. We've got our turn 2 Armguard Familiar, a Suit Up, March of Swirling Mist. I guess we'll keep it and see how things go here. Turn 1 Fang of Shigeki. Pretty great start on the play here. They've got their 1-drop turn 1. They have 2-drop turn 2. Oh god, yeah, 1-drop turn 1 into a great 2-drop on turn 2. Shigeki can ramp them up and put some cards in their grave, and then they can channel it later to pick up a bunch of cards from grave. Just be a massive draw spell in the late game. I am very concerned about how good this start is from our opponent. And they are going to ramp up with Shigeki here. Get a land into play tapped. But no land in hand. That is super helpful for us. And I think we're going to have to just wait for our Twisted Embrace here. If we attack in because of that Death Touch, it's a trade either way. Not a trade I really want to take here. Recasting Shigeki now. I guess now the question has to be whether I want to blow up Shigeki or the 1-1. I do want to be attacking our opponent, so I'm going to blow up the 1-1. We'll let them ramp with Shigeki again next turn if they really want to. We can hold up Mirror Shell Crab's channel ability to make sure they never pull back a million cards from their graveyard with their channel ability, because this ability can counter abilities, not just spells. So Mirror Shell Crab makes it so really not worried about Shigeki popping off. We're really just worried about Shigeki getting lands in the play tapped, and that's not that big of a deal, because they do have to tap out for it each turn. Not quite tap out, but tap a decent amount of their mana. They have a 2-drop here. They're going to recast Shigeki or just pass turn. Recast Shigeki it is. Well, we still don't really have much going on here, so we'll just send in. I'm going to suit up for 2 extra damage. Draw a card, because we've got nothing else to do. Might as well. See if we can't get any more plays. We do have a 3-mana 1/4 flyer now. It's a little bit of something, but not much. I guess we're not holding up our Mirror Shell Crab this way, which is a bit awkward. We are holding up a 1-target March of Swirling Mist, though, which could matter. Lion Sash, that's terrifying. Very, very good rare. Absolutely takes over the game. They've already got 7 permanents in their graveyard, so this can become an 8/8 that reconfigures for +7/+7 to whatever they equip it on. Yeah, that's not a good time. That is, in fact, a very bad time. What's the worst that can happen here? They have double wide up, so they can block with Lion Sash and then make it a 3/3. Not big enough to survive Armguard Familiar here, so offer the trade and then drop down a Puzzle Maker. They probably block Shigeki, activate the ability here. Yep. If we counter that ability, Shigeki still goes to hand instead of graveyard, so definitely not going for Muriel Shell Crab there. So we need to keep in mind here that if we don't counter something with Mirror Shell Crab this turn, we can cast it as a 5/7 next turn. However, if we don't counter something with Mirror Shell Crab here, they get a 6/5 onto the board and put 4+1/+1 counters on their cards. So I guess we are discarding Mirror Shell Crab here. Network Disruptor is the draw. Doesn't seem necessary here currently. I'll probably just cast it for more damage on the board. Oh, there's Gitaxias. That's double Network Disruptor next turn. That makes me kind of tempted to hold it in hand and then go Gitaxias double Network Disruptor next turn, tap down all their blockers. Although our March of Swirling Mist in hand does functionally the same thing. But waiting for Gitaxias, not only does it let us get 2 Network Disruptor tap abilities, it just lets us get 2 Disruptors, period. So we'll have 2 1/1 flyers there. A Gonjo Exemplar. What is all this mana for? Why are you holding 4 mana up here? Is it for Lion Sash? Oh, send in Lion Sash, alright. Kappa-Tech Wrecker. No, exile Mirror Shell Crab. Hit for 2, holding 3 mana up. 3 mana instant in green-white. Can't think of a way to stop Gitaxias. And if they don't cast their instant right now, it will get countered by Gitaxias' ability. Are they channeling for... No, they need 4 mana to channel for a card here. Season of Renewal it is. Okay, pick up Fang of Shigeki, Intercessor's Rest. They can arrest Gitaxias, but its static ability still pops off, so that's fine. I guess we could alternatively hold up March of Swirling Mist. Exile the Network Disruptor from our hand to phase out 2 cards, but I think it's better to just play 2 Disruptors out and let Gitaxias' ability do the work, even if it can't attack or block. Modern Age? It's not actually the best draw. I don't know, I guess we keep it. Because then it's like we draw discard, and then whatever we hit, if it's better than a March of Swirling Mist, we can keep it. Oh no, they've got the Fall of Lord Konda and Intercessor's Rest. That's actually pretty bad. Because the Fall of Lord Konda permanently gets rid of Gitaxias, so we don't get the counter effects on it. We have a lot of flying damage here, though. Even if they arrest one of them. So Fang of Shigeki, 2 mana up. We have Lethal in the Sky if they can't kill one of our creatures with an instant here. So let's go for the Lethal in the Sky. Be Exactsies. Target creature you control deals damage. Creature planeswalker you don't control. Phase out their creature. Should counter that. Cool. 3, 4, 5. And that'll be game 1 in the bag. 1-0 against the Wizards of the Coast employee. So here we are in round 2 now, and I actually had to look it up there in between rounds if I could find that Wizards employee online, and that was actually PR Blake. That was Blake, who does the weekly MTG streams. So you may have seen him in some of those. That's super cool. It's always cool to see that the people involved in the PR side of things, or just any company side of things with Wizards of the Coast, are actually like actively involved in the game like that, where they are, you know, Mythic 400 at draft. So super cool to get to play against Blake. Definitely a big fan of the weekly MTG streams. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool time. Well, this is going to be a really bad trade. We can get rid of the Ember Keeper, but then they spit out a 1/1 token and everything. I think we just take it and start cracking back. We just hope to hit our mana for Behold the Unspeakable to survive the initial onslaught from our opponent. Could even Ambusher here to life gain, make it harder for them to race. Is it worth it? I think it is. It's like a roundabout way of slowing them down. Just getting lifelink. Oh. They are really not a fan of lifelink, I suppose, and the early concession will be 2-0 for us. Here we are now in round 3. We got a nice turn 2 Modern Age, turn 3 Puzzle Maker. Pretty big fan of this hand. The Ambusher comes down pretty late, but other than that, pretty premium stuff here. Playing against blue-black again. They start with the turn 2 Moon Circuit Hacker. They didn't get to ninjutsu that out, so that's got to feel a little sad. And we get to drop a turn 3 Puzzle Maker to make sure that can't attack in well. We've got a 1/4 to block the 2/1. And let's see what's going on here. Turn 3, Clawing Torment it is. That really does nullify our Puzzle Maker by a lot. Makes it a 0/3 flyer that can't block. We can still attack with it to scry, but yeah, we really definitely want to probably ninjutsu it back to hand here. Something like that for good value. Just get rid of that effect, really. So we'll scry 1, pick up a Suit Up. We've already got 5 mana. I can use a Suit Up. It's fine by me. And let's pick up the Puzzle Maker to get rid of this Clawing Torment. The biggest question with whether or not to ninjutsu there isn't really whether it's good to ninjutsu on Puzzle Maker. It's definitely good to do that. It's whether or not we really wanted to like redo a Modern Age and draw discard a bunch more. And I think being able to recast the Puzzle Maker and have it actually have all of its stats again is worth the pickup there. So Life of Toshiro Umezawa from our opponent is going to help this Moon Circuit Hacker get in there with +2/+2 this turn. +2/+2 again this next turn, I'm guessing. If we slam down the Puzzle Maker, we don't have the mana to hold up Suit Up anyway, so we might as well just slam down our biggest creature. 3/5 is big enough to block Moon Circuit Hacker even after the pump. So they'll need to cast a removal spell on Trespassers to get in here. Moon Snare Specialist it is. Works well enough. Gets them in, puts Trespassers back in our hand. They are down to 12 life, we're at 15. Our lifelink from Mugatai Ambusher is doing a ton of work. We can just slam in here and Suit Up on a block. Keep our lifelink around and gain 1 extra life this turn. And then we drop Armguard Familiar post-combat. Feels really nice. Although we did hit a land here to play Puzzle Maker instead. I think I like that better. Get more damage in the sky, because they're about to have a 2/3 on the ground as well. That is indeed a 2/3 on the ground. I'm going to change my audio a bit. Turn up the music and turn down the SFX a little. Right, tap our Puzzle Maker. We get to scry 1 at least. We've got 6 mana Chainflail Centipede here. We have the mana to play it and reconfigure it. It's not bad, but we do have plenty of stuff we want to do that we probably want to do instead of that. So I think I actually want to put that on the bottom. We already have other plays we'll be doing first. Like we're probably channeling Trespassers to tap down their 2 blockers to send in everybody here. So we're just going to do that and cast Armguard Familiar instead. So just kind of dig closer to Gitaxias or somebody. So those are going to be tapped down for 2 turns here unless they have a Mirror Shell Crab. Nice. Scry 1 again. Network Disruptor. I actually do like that a lot here. We're just trying to push in for the final few points of damage, so tapping down 1 blocker is going to be massive. We'll drop down our Armguard Familiar. Nezumi Prowler, that's pretty massive, gaining some life here. Don't think it'll matter. It's still going to be 1 blocker for them, but they do get to draw a discard here. We're not trading off Armguard Familiar on blocks because we want as much power as we can on the crackback. Alright, let's figure out if this does it. Should be 8 damage on board. Planar Incision. Exile it, bring it back to the battlefield with a counter on it, which lets them tap one of our creatures when they do. It's pretty great. They tap that, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's still lethal because they chose to tap the 2 power, not the 3 power. That goes so well for us. Tap it down, Gitaxias. I assume they wanted to trade into the 3-2 is why they chose that way. Definitely a good plan there, but we just had the instant speed removal to punish it. So certainly a feel bad for them. That'll be 3-0 now. So here we are in round 4. This might be a bit of a greedy keep, considering we've got a 7 mana card in our 3-land hand. But sometimes I just can't resist. And I think it's also the correct keep. Because if you think about it, imagine we mulligan to 6. What would probably be the hand that we keep would be this hand, except we put Gitaxias on bottom. So just pretend we already mulliganed to 6 there, basically. Because everything else is keepable, and I would have kept that as a 7 land. Or a 7 card hand where we had to put 1 on the bottom. Ooh, Cloud Steel Kier. An opponent might be able to shut off our ability to win the game until we deal with that. So that's a thing. 2 7-drops in hand. We're probably playing the long game here. Let's hold our blockers back rather than send in. I was going to say we can send in and they don't want to trade anywhere here, so we get damage in, but yeah, then I just get cracked back for 5 instead of just 3. Kumano faces Kakazan. Take a damage now. They get a +1/+1 counter on a card next turn. And they get a 2/2 haste the turn after that. Alright. I'm just going to blow up this 3/2 flyer, because it's going to start attacking me for 1,000,000 in the sky. And it's also going to be able to shut off our ability to win eventually. So we'll have to kill it at some point. And in blue-black, the only way we're going to be able to kill it is if we kill it while it's a creature, not an equipment. If they reconfigure it onto something, it'll be really hard for us to deal with in the future. So we'll just get rid of it right now. Didn't even need the reconfigure effect for it to be the biggest threat on their board anyway. They get 2 1/1s if we trade here, because they have double Aki Emberkeeper. But Armguard Familiar is never not going to trade with these. Like, we could theoretically suit up to block one time, but that's it. We need to draw a card here. Dockside Chef is perfect. Block the 1/1s. We are in a mad dash to survive till we hit 7 mana. Hey, it's going to be really hard to do. Yeah. Yeah, now, thinking of the suit up with the Arm Guard Familiar, maybe it didn't make the most sense to just do it right there. But if we didn't, and then we went for the block suit up, then we would have just gotten Kami's Flared anyway. So, yep, and now we've got 6 mana, nothing to do with it, because we kept our 7 drops in hand, so just out-aggroed by the Boros deck here. Boros will do that to you. Again, didn't play optimally. I probably should have waited a turn and just let myself get hit there to hold up a suit up for another block later, but with how the cards played out the next turn or two with the Kami's Flare and the Rezona there, we were dead regardless, just as quickly. Round 5, we're on the play with a turn 2 Muktai Ambusher. I'll keep it for that alone. And let's get some lifelinking in. Ooh, Mountain Turn 1's got me sketched out. Okay, they tap out. I was going to say, if I ninjutsu my Ambusher down and then they play the 1 red mana 2 damage spell, I will be sad. But they've tapped out, so we get 1 attack out of the Ambusher, but it will probably get blown up here. Best thing about red in the format is its cheap instant speed removal. Can't expect many of your small creatures to stick around long against the red decks. And it is black-red, and they go for Nezumi Prowler as a 4/2 here, thanks to Kumano Faces Kakazan. We can Network Disruptor and hold up the mana to phase something out if we want. We Network Disruptor just to get another lifelink swing in, and then if they attack with Prowler, we're just like, okay, we'll take 4, because we outrace it with lifelink. And if they don't play another creature here, I don't know what they're doing here if they don't play another creature removal spell, but theoretically, Magical Christmas Land, they tap out for a Network Terminal or something. Next turn we get to Twisted Embrace, make our Ambusher a 4/3 lifelinker and kill the Prowler. That'd be really good. It's a 4/3 lifelinker, attacks into the 2/2 well. Don't think we live in Magical Christmas Land here, though. I expect another blocker or a removal spell to pop out, or they just hold up their mana and then we have to be worried about instant speed removal to counter our Twisted Embrace. Oni Colt Anvil, maybe we do live in Magical Christmas Land. Because that's committing 2 of their 3 mana to that, and they're not really going to want to sacrifice something right now. I don't think. It's not like it's another blocker. Oh. Go for a full-on race here? Maybe? No, just send an Etching of Kumano. Okay. And then played Ninja's Kunai. Oh, that's kind of unfortunate. Because the Kunai can kill our Ambusher, even with a Twisted Embrace on it. Oh. They are tapped out now, which is definitely nice. So I can Twisted Embrace onto Ambusher, blow up the Prowler, attack both, then they have to spend 1 mana to equip Kunai, 1 mana tap Etching, kill Ambusher. And then we're down to just a 1/1 flyer. That's kind of a problem. So maybe I'd rather put Twisted Embrace on Disruptor, but the problem is if we put Twisted Embrace on Disruptor, Ambusher just trades into Etching without them even using Ninja's Kunai, so they can just hold it as a blocker. I don't love either of these options. Can we do anything with March of Swirling Mist here? Not really. We can shut off Prowler as a blocker for 1 turn to attack both, but then it's just back immediately. I think I'd rather use March of Swirling Mist later. Let's make the flyer bigger. Let's not make Mukotai Ambusher just like a lightning rod for this ninja's kunai. They get to drain us for 1 life here, sacking in response, but they don't get the 1/1. Send in for 5. They're down to 10. We're at 25. I guess now the problem is they can put kunai on Etching of Kumano, block Ambusher, and kill Disruptor. It's got March of Swirling Mist, though. We can just use in response when they try to get that double kill. Which is kind of cool. Yeah, no, we probably should have just still put Ambusher, put Twisted Embrace on Ambusher so they couldn't do that double block shenanigans. I always forget about that. You can do like a block and then throw the kunai somewhere else. Be really fancy with it. Tamayo's Completion's a good draw, though. We probably just start attacking with Disruptor alone. And get this kunai popped right now. And then get ready to March or Swirling Mist their 2 blockers to send in the lifelinker. And if they don't pop the kunai, then we just get in for 2. And the nice thing about them holding the kunai for blocks is that they don't get a 1/1 out of it. If they just shot something during their turn, they get a 1/1 from Oni Cult Anvil and shoot something. Okay. So I think we're on the March or Swirling Mist plan now. We play Dockside Chef, and then maybe if they tap out, we can March or Swirling Mist to phase out both of their blockers. Okay, so they are going to go ahead and shoot the Disruptor. Now, maybe we phase out the Disruptor instead then. Does change things. Maybe we even counter that with Mirror Shell Crab, because we are 3 lands away from casting the Mirror Shell Crab. And then we can still hold on to March of Swirling Mist to phase out all their blockers in the future. That actually seems pretty good to me. I think I'm going to Mirror Shell Crab that. It's actually kind of insane how many different options we have at instant speed with the counterspell and the different ways we can phase, where we could have phased to protect Disruptor or phased to get rid of their blockers. Some really complex choices coming out of these blue spells. So there's a Synthesizer from our opponent. It does draw them a land. They might crack it here for a 2/2 blocker, draw another card. Dig for removal for our flyer here, most likely. It is really good with the Oni Cult Anvil as well, spits out that 1/1. Looks like just another land for our opponent, but they have a million blockers on the ground now for our ground troops. So we'll need to phase 4 cards out of existence to get in there. I guess now we only need to phase 3 out because they attacked with 1. So we can hit for 6 guaranteed by phasing out all their stuff. I'm into it. Hit for 6. They're lethal. They're lethal. They're dead next turn to Disruptor. Up to X target creatures phase out. Up to 3. 1, 2, 3. So they can't block. They just don't exist for a turn. Putting them to dead to Disruptor in 1 attack. I guess 2 attacks, because Oni Cult Anvil does gain them a life each turn. Yes, it's not quite dead in 1 attack, unfortunately. I still think it's worth it, though. Get them to 2. Puts them on a very quick clock against the Network Disruptor. And of course gains us the 3 life we need to make sure we're good to keep racing on the ground. We're at 24 against 2. Alright, send in the Song Shaper, the 1/1 and the 2/2. It's all going to get in. We'll crack the 1/1 to drain us for a life and get another 1/1 here. Yep, here goes that. 3 more cards in hand, one of which is a Bloodfell Caves that puts them to 4, and they will pass the turn. So we can Dockside Chef here. I want to try to draw into lethal this turn, but I don't think I have very many spells that would be lethal immediately. I have Suit Up, but that's it. So I think I want to Dockside Chef during the end step here and just hold on to Tamiyo's completion. But I could definitely see wanting to sacrifice Mukatai Ambusher to Dockside Chef, because it's just not, there's just 5 creatures on the ground, it's never going to get in, so it's probably better to try to draw into more flyers than keep it around here. Hope for nothing fancy here. You know, just sacrifice it to get another. Oh, we can shut off the Oni Cult Anvil with Tamiyo's completion? Oh, if we did that during our turn, we would have had lethal on them in one turn. I forgot this can hit just artifacts. Straight up, we could have just hit Oni Cult Anvil and stopped its ability. Yeah. Yeah, no, that would have been, we would have just had lethal here on our next flying attack instead of hitting them to 1 life. Moonfolk Puzzle Maker off the top, that's pretty nice. Now we have a really hard choice on what we want to Tamiyo's completion, because we could Tamiyo's completion Oni Cult Anvil still, but then if they draw into a flyer, that's going to be really bad. I'm going to do it now. Should have done it last turn, missed lethal. But take what we can get here. Modern Age is another flyer coming up, so we'll drop that down. Rather have another flyer immediately than another Modern Age, so we'll discard the second Modern Age. Alright, they have to kill both of our flyers or play a flyer to survive next turn. Or kill one flyer and play a flyer. Or kill both flyers. Alright, that was a really sloppy one. Missed lethal, could have had it a turn sooner. Just completely blanked on Tamiyo's completion being not just creature removal. Shutting off artifacts is big in this format. Artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Pretty huge. So could have ended poorly there, but luckily for us, that will push us into 4-1 as we head into round 6. Alright, here we are now in round 6. I want to keep it, but it's all swamps and just 1 black card, and 3 blue cards we can't cast. Till we hit blue sources. Obviously, if we immediately hit an island, it's great. But we have no confirmation we'll do that. We only have... I think like 8 blue sources. We have 9 blue sources. 9 out of 33 is less than a 1 in 3. And if we have to wait 3 turns, it's going to feel like a century. I'm going to mulligan this. This is much more keepable. Pretty happy with this one. Alright, turn 2. Either get my flyer out sooner or just start attacking. Get the flyer out sooner. Get this to turn into a creature ASAP. Mono blue so far from our opponent. They cast their own Modern Age. Drawing a card and discarding something. Discarding a Dockside Chef. Mirror match it is. Ooh, there's Gitaxias. How greedy. How greedy shall I be? Let's not be that greedy. Sorry, Gitaxias. We're just very far off from the mana for you. We need all 4 lands for everything else in hand. And our opponent's currently stuck on mana, so we want to be able to cast as many early game cards as possible and pressure them as much for it as we can. The 7-drop isn't exactly conducive to that plan. I gotta Google what conducive means. Sometimes my brain just throws stuff out and I have to hope it's correct. I've read the definition and I'm still confused. Alright. Network Disruptor and Tribute to Hirobi from our opponent. Tribute to Hirobi is going to be pretty good against us. We don't have any ninjutsu to make use of their rats. And we don't have any way to blow up the tribute before they get the rats back, because we're blue-black, we don't have artifact enchantment removal. But we can still use the rats to punch them down a bit. And then we can just blow up the tribute when it flips with our Twisted Embrace. It's not going to be the biggest deal in the world, but they do get to keep the rats. Alright, well, fortunately for us, the monocolored hand was kept because the rest of the hand is straight gas. Tribute to Hirobi into life of Toshiro Umezawa. Now they're going to ninjutsu something out with this Network Disruptor. Mukatai Ambusher. That's actually very fine by me. I was expecting something really deadly or devastating, and that's kind of just like, okay. Resolves. Give lifelink to our Sky Swimmer Koi, I guess. Nothing else to do with our mana, because I'm not going to Twisted Embrace till we can kill the flyer of theirs. Yep, lifelink onto Sky Swimmer Koi and attack with it, because otherwise they'll just tap it down with Network Disruptor so that they can get the attack in with Echo of Death's Wail, either way. Network Disruptor, tap down our creature. Yeah, opponent's just popping off now. Echo of Death's Wail is going to draw them another card. So for 2 mana, they get a 3/3 flyer, 2/1/1s, draw a card. And another Modern Age. This is the mega value deck here. I don't see a comeback being remotely possible here. Even if we kept Gitaxias in hand, we just die before we hit 7 mana. Because we have, what, 6 right now? We're at 12 against a super wide board state. And if we kept Gitaxias in hand, we probably would have discarded a land, in which case we'd be at 5 mana right now. Yeah, I don't see much we can do this game. Or see any alternate lines that would have worked that much better or anything. I guess the Infiltrator can only get buffed up to 3/4 status, so we can just hold a 4/4 lifelinker block with. They can't really attack in, at least. What is going on here? What is this about? Ninjutsu in the 3/1 that gives something lifelink and Death Touch. I don't think we have a single good block to play around that. Because obviously they're going to get ninjutsu off no matter what with 3 creatures. So do we just play the best block that we have if they don't have that? If it's ninjutsu to bounce a creature. If it's ninjutsu to bounce a creature, we also still don't have a good block against that. So we can offer trades like this, but losing a creature here is pretty bad. I feel like I would rather bounce Vector Gliders off. Although if we get rid of these two, I mean, it's 2 power, 1 power, 2 power, 1 power. Sure, we'll just see what we can do here. Alright, no ninjutsu, I'll take it. It's -3, -3. Oh, you're already dead. Destroy a creature to dealt damage, draw a card. Sure. March of Swirling Mist, that does give us another turn. Another turn gives us Mirror Shell Crab. Attack with Leech Gauntlet, we go to 16 life. We play a Mirror Shell Crab. They have... We block there, take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of that 8 is in the sky, too. Yeah, since most of the damage is in the sky anyway, we might as well attack with Leech Gauntlet. Mirror Shell Crab holds back everything on the ground. The 2 ground creatures they have. I guess if we go Mirror Shell Crab first, then we know if they're going to counter it or not, and if they do counter it, then we could hold Leech Gauntlet back. But Leech Gauntlet doesn't even block their 2-3 on the ground well, it only blocks the 1-1 really, so we're just saving 1 extra damage holding back Leech Gauntlet. You're already dead, copy number 2, can't outrace this either way. I could put lifelink on Leech Gauntlet, but if they have another You're Already Dead, they could just hold back a 1-1 or something to chump block and kill it. Alright, bounce spell it is. Down to 6. Mirror Shell Crab, 2 blockers against all this. Block the 2 biggest. 2, 4, 6, 7. But Leech Gauntlet does gain us 2 life. So attack with Leech Gauntlet, we're at 8. We can't block any flyers. Take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the sky no matter what, and they have 3 creatures on the ground. Yeah, we still die. Because if we don't attack with Leech Gauntlet, they kill us in the sky. If we do attack with Leech Gauntlet... Oh, they have Network Disruptor in hand. What am I on about? We're mega dead. We're mega dead. Because holding 1 blocker back is the same as holding none back when they've got a Network Disruptor in hand from the ninjutsu. Well, that was rough. The opponent's hand was straight gas. That definitely explains keeping the monocolored hand there. Again, I don't think there's much we could have done there. The biggest decision point in that game would have been we could have kept Gitaxias in our hand, but we wouldn't have hit our 7th land until a turn after we did, because we would have discarded one of the lands, which means I think we definitely would have still lost. I think we might have even just died faster if we had to wait for a land drop at some point in there. Alright, so this is a super keepable hand in round 7. We're just going to go for it here. Double Modern Age Sky Swimmer Koi into an artifact creature afterwards. We're going to be drawing and discarding all over the place, filtering all of our draws. Turn 1 Network Disruptor from our opponent. Unfortunately, our opponent is on the play here. It's the biggest drawback of this hand. If our opponent has just an aggressive hand on the play, could quickly end our draft run here. So if they turn to a Mukatai Ambusher or something, or Prosperous Thief, could be all she wrote. When it's kind of the nature of best of one sometimes. So we'll see. Alright, no ninjutsu turn 2 is helpful. They do still have a creature turn 2, so they're still curving out pretty hard on us, which is very threatening, for sure. We've got 3 blue sources and 3 black sources, so I don't think it really matters which one we discard right now. I'll discard the black source because we have more blue cards immediately. Yeah, they're still curving out, just not as massively hard as they could have. Alright, well that's... Alright. That is pretty dang threatening. Silver Fur Master giving all of their ninjas and rogues +1/+1 and making their ninjutsu costs 1 cheaper. That's... Oops, I've picked up my recording. Alright, that's mega threatening. I need to go and lock that. Alright, I've locked it in the screen so that doesn't happen anymore. Modern Age, what do we have? Moonfolk Puzzle Maker. Alright. Because of Silver Fur Master, they're only 1 mana away from a Dokuchi Shadow Walker. That would ninjutsu for only 3 mana. It'd be a 5/5, which would mean it'd be a 6/6 with Silver Fur Master. They'd hit for 10 right here. Fingers crossed, not that. I shouldn't have said anything. I've jinxed myself. I've ended it here. Nope. No ninjutsu. We're just down to 9. We get our first 2/3 flying blocker here, and then we can play a 1/4 flying blocker or a 3/3 flying blocker. We're going to have blockers now. And they've slammed out the Disruptor right now, which means they don't have it to tap down one of our blockers. That's definitely helpful. It's going to be better to get another blocker here, or to blow up one of their creatures. It might be better to blow up Silver Fur Master than it is to play another creature here, because that makes their board dramatically smaller. These 2/2 flyers turn into 1/1 flyers, which is huge. Just much less damage. Suit up. Seems pretty good. We're down to 7. Well, we get another 2/3 flying creature out now. Get another blocker here. Our best blocker is a 1/4 flyer, but we could play a Shrine Steward instead so that we can pull another removal spell out of our deck. Problem is, like, if they attack all now, we're blocking a 2/1 on the ground with a 3/2 and a 1/1 in the sky with a 2/3. I feel like Puzzle Maker makes the blocks so much easier. Just a 2/1 with a 1/4, a 1/1 with a 2/3, and we don't lose any creatures on board. We still have more creatures to play after this. I feel like their creatures are all so small, we would just rather play more blockers than removal spells at this point in the game. So probably just dump out all our blockers first and then drop a Shrine Steward at the end of it. Right, there's a Puzzle Maker from our opponent. Alright! Giving us the shot here, giving us some time. So now, do we play Sky Swimmer Koi before Shrine Steward, or do we just play Shrine Steward? So we play Sky Swimmer Koi next. If we play that first, then next turn we get to play Shrine Steward, draw, discard this island. Get more value. Might be a little greedy, but I'm still not going to pop a removal spell on any of these things. So I think I will play the Sky Swimmer Koi here. Behold the Unspeakable. That doesn't quite get them to a position to attack, so it's actually not the end of the world, but they are going to draw 4 cards next turn, which is kind of the end of the world. Yeah, 4 for 1 is pretty good. Actually a 5 for 1. Draw 4 cards and get a flyer out. Hold the Unspeakable is pretty nuts. That's why we drafted ours so highly, but we have not got to cast it yet, sadly. Doesn't matter here, they have no cards in hand. I don't know why I thought so hard on that. I was like, wait, I'm gonna get You're Already Deaded again. Send in our Sky Swimmer Koi, they won't block, and we can Mukatai Ambusher and then recast it, so we can gain some life here. That's actually a pretty massive deal. Let's get some life link. I guess like the worst case scenario here is they block and then we just get to kill one of their flyers, which is still a good deal. Alright, draw 4 for our opponent here. Did you know they used to have in the core sets, back in 10th edition, they just had Tidings in there, which is 2 blue and 3. It's just straight up a sorcery. Draw 4 cards. It's nuts. Can you imagine? We had that in limited formats nowadays. Just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just 5 mana, draw 4. Just go for it. Do your thing. Biting Palm Ninja. Yep, the board state is getting very wide because our opponent has drawn quite a few cards. Play a big old crab here, I suppose. Is there anything we could draw that we would want more than Shrine Steward? Gitaxias. Yeah, dig towards Gitaxias. If it is Gitaxias, we'll discard Shrine Steward, otherwise we'll discard that. Such a comfy, rainy day today. You can't really hear it because the sound gate, and also I think even if I didn't put a sound gate or noise gate on this mic, it's probably quiet enough you couldn't hear it, but the rain is super chill. I love it on rainy days like this. March of Swirling Mist is the draw. That's actually like massive, right? Do 6 cards. They have 7 blockers still. Still pretty big. Do we Shrine Steward here? We have to Shrine Steward here so we can blow up Vision of the Unspeakable next turn. We have draws that are better than March or Swirling Mist. Not a lot of them, but we have some, so... yeah, Tamiya's Completion it is. We'll draw discard here. So that's the thing with looting effects. Often it'll be like, well, I have a good card in hand, so I don't want to loot. But if there's even a single card in your deck that's a good bit better than whatever you have in your hand, you should just always loot. Just in case you can hit that. I don't have all of the maths and statistics and reasons for that, but I have heard that argued well in an article by professional Magic players that are much better than me, so I just follow that guideline. Alright, this is bad. Guess we can phase out the Vision for a turn and then kill it with Tamiya's Completion later. We can also just take 4. But if they ninjutsu the Vision, if they ninjutsu this Vision, this game's wildly over. Because then they've drawn 4 extra cards off Vision, they've ninjutsued it back to scry 2 and draw 2 more cards. Let's just not deal with that possibility. Oh, but March of Swirling Mist is like almost even a win condition. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Could be 14 damage on board to attack them with. Alright. Ninjutsu, your stupid vision. It's gotta be a hard choice for them, even if they have ninjutsu. Nope, they don't give a single shit they're doing it. They are all in for the value. I was gonna say, because we are down to 10, so there's an argument for just going for the kill here. Well, this game is not our game. We've been on the back foot from second one. I'm like, well, they could maybe ninjutsu, but this is a great attack either way, and they probably just try to push in damage. They've got the ninjutsu that draws an additional card. Our opponent's drawn probably 6 more cards than us. 18, 17. What the heck? Oh, we've done a lot of draw and discard. So we're actually have somehow stayed somewhat close on value. Alright. 7 blockers on their board. Can March of Swirling Mist. 6 of them. Which is probably all we got. Let's do what we can here. I can do an all attack and put them to like 8 life or something. It's about as close as I can get. And they just crack back for lethal, and they've scryed both to the top off the Behold. Pretty fancy. Good stuff on top. Modern Age it is. More draw. With Containment Construct down, so this is straight up draw 2 cards and make a 2/3 flyer. It really feels like they're just toying with their food at this point. Choosing to draw more cards instead of hitting us for like 5 in the sky. Like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I just want to draw. I just got so much value coming out. Still a Sky Swimmer Koi here as well. 4 cards in hand. They still have more cards in hand than us. The bigger board states. A Behold's about to flip into a 3/3 flying trample. March of Swirling Mist comes nowhere near getting rid of all their creatures for a turn anymore, so we can't even try to use that as a sleep effect for the kill. I think I'm just going to end it here. There's no outs at this point. We could hit a Gitaxias and then die in the sky, but that's literally like our best draw. So I think I'm just gonna get out of this one. Been a bit of a long recording session here. Second draft of the day, that was about 4 hours in recording. 4 and 3 it is. That was not a super winnable game. From pretty much the start, we were on the draw against a really great aggressive hand that managed to pivot into the long game really good value hand too. Just an excellent ninjutsu deck from our opponent. But 4 and 3, still a really good showing from this deck, honestly. A little better than I thought it would do. This deck is pretty awkward. We've got some good value plays of our own. Did not like March of Swirling Mist in that last game. I actually actively disliked that enough to maybe not even draft it in the future. There were some games where it worked pretty well, but that last game, I was just doing the stone cold nothing. I guess we could have used it to stop them from getting that one ninjutsu trigger the turn early, and then we could have had our Tamiyo's completion get rid of the flyer. Yeah, that would have been the biggest thing that we could have maybe found an out for, is if I did stick with my gut on the March of Swirling Mist there, instead of trying to use this as a win condition, just phase out their vision for 1 turn, so that gets it out of combat so they don't ninjutsu with it, and then just Tamiyo's completion it the turn after that, because that was the turn that we had put a Tamiyo's completion in hand, was the turn they were attacking with the Vision of the Unspeakable, and we could have marched for just that one. So actually, maybe I'm not giving this card enough credit. Maybe if we just played it better and had used it there, it would have done a lot. because they did just immediately have that Ninjutsu card in hand, it would have stopped them from recasting a Behold the Unspeakable, which is pretty big, because we would have killed the Behold the Unspeakable instead of them scrying 2 and drawing 2 more cards that game. That would have been our best way out. That would have been our highest chance at victory. But we missed that line, and then kind of got crushed afterwards. Anything else to say about the deck? Any overperformers, underperformers? Cyber Trespassers was super nice. In the one game we really used it, it was just like a 5-mana 3/5, which was just a big blocker. Big enough to the point where they had to bounce it back to our hand to get out of the way, and then when they did bounce it back to our hand, we were just like, alright, we'll channel it to pressure them, tap 2 of their creatures down, and keep them tapped. So both halves of this card worked pretty well for us, the 3/5 and the tap trigger. So that was really nice. Gitaxias was slow, probably too slow. Probably shouldn't have went for Gitaxias. If we just went for the quicker, weird little artifact deck that I was thinking of, the deck might have went better, because we did lose a couple games where we had Gitaxias in hand. It just never made it to 7 mana. We lost one game where we had Gitaxias in hand, never made it to 7. We lost another game where we ended up discarding Gitaxias to the Modern Age because we figured, well, we're probably not going to make it to 7. And then we did make it to 7, but we made it to 7 later than it would have mattered. So yeah, Gitaxias is really slow for this deck. Definitely seems like more of a good like blue-green kind of card where you have some ramp going on with Careful Cultivations and Greater Tanukis and all that. I'm not so sure you're supposed to just slap this into the blue-black color pair because they have a lot of good cheaper cards, but we still went for it. We had our fun with Gitaxias. We tried. We did our thing. We made 2 copies of Network Disruptor that one game, so we did win a game off of it, even if we did lose a game or 2 where we couldn't cast it. But yeah, that's probably all I've got to say about this deck. Pretty fun draft overall, and a nice kind of break even here for 1,400 gems and 3 packs for 1,500 gems. So that will be the end of this draft. There's some great things on the horizon if you're interested in that coming around just around the corner. Starting April 1st, we've got Dominaria Premier Drafts back on Arena, and we have Ravnica Mixer sealed events coming on Arena around that time as well. And then, of course, at the end of that month, Streets of New Capenna will launch on Arena. So a lot of really cool draft and limited stuff coming up in April. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I'll be playing Midweek Magic's fancy little random events for card styles like they've been putting up, and having some fun with it. Maybe a few more Kamigawa Neon Dynasty drafts in the in-between. So once again, thank you all very much for watching. I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.